Jesteśmy na stoisku Ludwig, pogadamy z Garym trochę o nowościach na rok 2014. Hello Gary, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
What is it?
These are a new line of drums called Signet 105, and what we wanted to do with these was to make a maple drum made in America and made in our plant in North Carolina, but in a very different kind of a package. And to start with, we made these very small lugs with very small contact with the shell and very lightweight, small claws, and the drums themselves, actually, when we ship them to you, the shells are all nestled one inside the other, so the whole set comes in one box. And then you take the hardware, and you get a package of lugs like this, and you snap them in place. And when you put the head on and tighten it up, those are all locked in place. Anything else that you have to put together, like the spurs or the legs or the tom bracket, held in place with a drum key, so no more tools. It just takes a few minutes and you've done all of that. The shell itself, maple shell, just like our classic maple, but the outer ply is this engineered wood. And so it's an all wood shell with an exotic finish on it at a very, very reasonable price. The bearing edge on these, different from our classic maple line, the bearing edge is outside and inside. So dual 45, so very punchy sound, but a very responsive drum because of all the maple. So they're very lightweight, and so you get a lot of the sound of the shell, a very good tonal sound, in a little different looking package, and a very good sounding package. This is a legacy drum set, and the shell construction is a maple, poplar maple shell with a re-ring inside, just like our drums from 1969. We copied that as carefully as we could. And these drums have a finish on them. It's called vintage white marine, so they're made to look like an aged pearl finish. Now on these drums we have these equipped with the Atlas mount. And what the Atlas mount is we wanted to do something different to hold a tom-tom. Instead of having a band, the vibra band that wrapped around the drum, we wanted to do something like this, so it's much more compact. And so this bracket actually takes the place of one of the lugs on the drum. So we replace the lug, and then it's got a tom bracket in it, but they're isolated from each other with these rubber grommets. And so the vibration isolation from the bracket to the drum takes the place of the vibra band that we used to have on there. So after doing that, we started looking at what else could we do with this bracket. Well, we could use it for this tom holder. So we've replaced two lugs and put in a tom holder that mounts in a place of two lugs, so no more additional holes in the drum. And these have the isolation feature in them as well. Next thing was, we've got a shell mount cymbal holder here. Again, it takes the place of a lug, but it can be put any place where there's a lug. And so you can put a smaller cymbal or a bigger cymbal, move it anywhere on the drum that you want without having to drill any extra holes. Also, we got one up here that is holding a wood block, or you could hold a cowbell on this, and this would take the place of a kind of a clamp that would clamp onto your hoop and then damage that finish. And so this does it without damaging it, and also isolates the vibrations from the bass drum. Also down here, let me show you spurs on the bottom of the drum. We've replaced the lugs down here and put in these folding spurs that again are isolated from the shell, so no extra holes, but a good solid hold. And these are adjustable for length by stretching these out, and they'll work on any size of our drums that we have. Over here we're using the same bracket to hold the floor tom legs. So again, no extra bracket on the shell, and isolating the vibrations out of the legs. We've put a bracket up here, added on a cymbal holder onto the drum. Another cymbal holder over there is actually clamped onto the top of that floor tom leg. And so if you look, we can have several cymbals up here and no cymbal stands. So very little floor space that we need to hold all the cymbals that we need. And show you a line of drums that we call Keystone. The Keystone drums are an oak shell drum. They have an oak ply on the outside, oak on the inside, but in the middle is 3 plies of maple. And we did that to make a drum that was responsive and had a more mellow attack. If an all oak shell can be a little harsh sounding, so the maple mellows that out and gives a little more gentle attack and a little nicer tone. And so the bearing edge on these drums actually is cut from inside and from outside. So the head and the bearing edge is really on the maple instead of the oak. But having the oak plies gives you a lot of punch and a lot of volume. So these drums have a very, very quick decay, and so the sound dies off fast. Very good in a recording situation because they don't ring on and on and on. Keystone drums have the Keystone lug, which is a bridged lug, a very neat and different look from our other drums that are made in the US. Also, they have a unique bass drum claw, a little smaller, little different profile, and looks very, very nice with the lugs that are on it. Also, Keystone drums come with the Atlas mount, which is an isolation mount that isolates the vibrations of the drum and takes the place of the old hoop, the old vibraband that wrapped around the drum and held it with that. And it has those brackets also on the floor tom to do the same job for the floor tom, give you a floating tom sound.